All right, I got another interesting match here. Um, this one is against Mono Blue Omnitell, and I've always found the show and tell matchup to be kind of tough. Um, while they can have some real stinker hands that kind of just fold to discard, they're a fast combo deck that has counter magic, and that can be tough, and they can be fairly resilient sometimes, and especially this mono blue version has more counter magic and more like intuition, cunning wish ways to find their their meaningful spells. So let's just jump in game one here. So let's hit play. So this is a pretty reasonable 7. It's not stellar. Brainstorm will help it a lot. And so Basic Island Preordain, I think they're on Storm at first. Um, but I decided to just pretend like I'm a fair blue deck for now. And then they play a second Basic Island, and just having the second Basic Island seems pretty unlikely for Storm. So I'm thinking maybe it's more like Miracles now that just happens to play some Preordains, which sometimes they do. Um, so again, I pass without doing anything. My plan is I'm probably end step Brainstorm here. They play a third Basic Island and pass, so I'm definitely thinking Miracles. So I'm kind of I'm on the wrong track at this point, but at any rate, I still haven't found any discard. So I'm not like I don't know. I have a way to win, but I haven't found any discard. And I bought them both and still no discard, so I'm not trying to go off here. And then they end step Intuition, and I lose. And there's really not a lot more to it than that. So they have the show and tell. So I kind of am like, I'm hoping they don't have the whole combo here, but they show and tell Omniscience, and they have a Cunning Wish. So I just put in a land there, kind of hide as much information as possible. The Conjurer's Bauble is a bit of a giveaway to a very savvy opponent, but there really wasn't a whole lot I could do there. If I'd cantripped earlier, I might have been able to find discard earlier, but at the end of the day, like I didn't see any discard, I didn't have any interaction, so it happens. Shit happens. Now for this game, so I decided to play first, and this hand is not good. Um, yeah, I mean, you can tell why. There's no blue mana source. Two of the mana sources are Lotus Petals. I can cast Doomsday on turn one, and then what? Nothing, really. So that's a mull. And this is a no lander, so that's a mull. And so I'm not feeling too good about this. So, but this is a pretty decent 5. Now I make an interesting choice here. I have to put back 2 cards, and based on the composition of this hand, I decide that this Doomsday is not actually very good. It's not doing me a whole lot. I value the cantrips more. So rather than put back 2 cantrips and keep like Brainstorm, Fluster, Doomsday, I put back Doomsday and one of the Brainstorms. And I put back one of the Brainstorms because I only have one fetch land right now, and Brainstorm is not super good without a fetch land. So Doomsday and Brainstorm go to the bottom. And I start by just playing out a land and passing the turn. Hold up the Fluster. Oh no, I decide to Ponder. Sorry. The reason I decide to Ponder here is because I'm unlikely to die on turn 1. This mono blue deck tends to play slower, and I think they play Lotus Petals, but it's just unlikely under any circumstances that I die on turn 1. So it's better to try and advance my game plan a little bit on turn 1. And I do find a Thoughtseize, which is a good pickup. So I take the Thoughtseize and I put the Experimental Frenzy below it because that's going to give me something of a game plan. That's my business spell once I have enough mana to actually cast it. So they just play Island, I think pass. They might Ponder as well. Looks like just a pass. And then now I can Thoughtseize and hold up Flusterstorm. So I'm going to Thoughtseize off my Underground Sea, which I almost forgot to do. Oh wait, I don't Thoughtseize here? That's very interesting. I don't remember that happening. I don't know if there's some bug with the replays or if I decided to just not Thoughtseize there. Maybe I felt like they were gonna. No, they pondered, didn't they? I don't know. Seems weird that I wouldn't Thoughtseize. Probably because of this. I decided I wanted to fluster instead. I mean, hold up fluster and hold up, be able to brainstorm and still hold up fluster. I don't know. I'm not so sure about that play. I feel like I should have Thoughtseize there. But anyway, so I put back the LED, which isn't doing me a whole lot of good, and I put back the Ponder, but I don't crack my fetch land because I'm just going to draw this Ponder. Now I'm going to Thoughtseize for sure, because I'd be an idiot if I didn't. And looks like I'm not an idiot. So I Thoughtseize. And this is an interesting situation. It's an interesting hand to see on the Thoughtseize. So they have the mana next turn to cast Show and Tell and protect it with a Flusterstorm. So I'm not going to be able to counter their Show and Tell. So it doesn't make sense. Sorry, let me rephrase that. If I take the Show and Tell, next turn they're going to have the mana to Intuition, protect it with a Flusterstorm, get another 3 more Show and Tells, and then still be able to protect that with a Flusterstorm. If I take the... Obviously, taking one of the doubles isn't going to do anything. If I take the Intuition, next turn they can Show and Tell in a Flusterstorm, or Show and Tell in an Omniscience, protect it with the Flusterstorm. But if they don't top deck something to continue the chain, I get to put Experimental Frenzy in and try to go off. So that's what I decide to do. Since taking the Show and Tell basically only buys me a turn, I decide to take the Intuition or taking the Show and Tell buys me 1 turn and then I still lose for sure. Taking the Intuition is a higher risk, higher reward play. Now, you could argue that if I take the Show and Tell, I can try and Ponder into into a discard spell, but then they're just going to fluster the discard spell if I find it. So yeah, so the play here is, it's kind of a gamble, but you take the Intuition, I think. And feel free to debate me on that one because I'm like only 90 to 95% sure that I'm right. So I take the Intuition, and then I crack the Tarn because I'm just going to Ponder here. Because if I can find like a Lion's Axe Diamond or something, I'm going to put it on the field. Since I'm going to want that when they Show and Tell in my Experimental Frenzy. But I think I just whiff. I drew a Dark Writ, which isn't doing me much good right now. So that's fine. So I'm just going to hit play now. So they Show and Tell, I fluster, they fluster back. Which I knew was going to happen. That's fine. It just means that they have only 1 Flusterstorm in their hand. So I get to put in my free Experimental Frenzy and then cross my fingers that they don't have any way to do anything else. So there's Doomsday on top, which is kind of funny. They play their second Omniscience and then just pass. So now I have theoretically the kill per se, but I know that they have a Flusterstorm. So this Doomsday is 100% getting flustered. But that means they also probably have no more counterspells in their hand. It's possible that they have another counterspell. That could be what they drew for turn. But I get to play a land here. And I have to shuffle this Doomsday away because I don't have mana for it. Preordain. I play my Lotus Petal, and then I whiff, or I brick. So I have to pass a turn, basically hope to fade another turn. But the card that was already in their hand doesn't do anything for them, and they just pass this turn as well. So now I get to Ponder, which finds me a Doomsday. Doomsday resolves, and I build a pile with discard in it. I believe the pile was Duress, Jace, LED, LED, or Jace on the bottom, Duress, LED, LED. But the order's all fucky here, because Doomsday and Magic Online replays don't work together for some reason. So, anyway, I won this game on a mull of 5, which was pretty sweet. My gamble on taking the Intuition paid off. So let's jump to game 3. So that's kind of interesting and is always something to kind of be aware of in the Show and Tell matchup is once in a while you'll get an opportunity where they let you play a free Experimental Frenzy and you can try and go off if they give you a turn. It's the situations where I see it happen more often is like they just Show and Tell in Emrakul and you get a free Frenzy and can try and go off from there. But yeah, always kind of interesting. So this time I'm on the draw. And I think we both keep 7. So this hand is pretty good. It's got 2 Thoughtseizes, it's got cantrip and a business spell, so there's no way I'm throwing that back. So I keep my 7. I think they mull to 6. Yep, they mull to 6. And just start with Island Pass. So this is an interesting spot for me. So I'm definitely gonna play 1 Thoughtseize this turn. But the question is, do I play the second Thoughtseize off the Lotus Petal, especially considering that they fluster here? So they fluster this Thoughtseize, which basically to me screams like they're trying to protect something. I decide not to, and I think because to me on 4 cards and the fact that I haven't seen the Lotus Petal at all, I just don't think I'm dying next turn. So I would rather not spend the Lotus Petal, which at this point is my only red source if I need to cast a Frenzy. So I decided to just let them fluster. And I pass here. And then they preordain, and I think they play another island and pass. Yep. So then I draw a Flusterstorm, which is a very good draw. Probably the best draw I could have there. So now I can Thoughtseize and hold up Fluster. And then if they don't do anything I need to Fluster, I can Brainstorm on their end step. If I want. So they Brainstorm in response, which is I'm okay with. And they show me kind of a shit hand. So looking at this, I'm assuming that they hid something to show and tell. And so I decide I'm going to take the intuition, because if they hid an omniscience, then I want them to only have the brainstorm to try and go off with. They also don't have enough lands to show and tell right now, so it's only going to be 2 turns before they can show and tell, presumably. Arguably, you could take 1 show and tell and then have fluster for the second show and tell, but who knows what they're going to intuition for. I decide to take the intuition. Now, maybe it would have been better to take 1 of the show and tells because you have both show and tells covered. But if they intuition for a Flusterstorm or something to be able to protect it later on, then that plays less good. So I just pass, holding up Flusterstorm, and they Brainstorm, which is pretty much what I expected them to do here. They don't really have any other play. And they don't find a fetch land, which means they're Brainstorm locked, which is good for me. So I Brainstorm end step myself, and I'm also Brainstorm locked. Jace is bad, and the Brainstorm isn't great since I'm Brainstorm locked. So here I think I Ponder, because I'm planning to just Ponder Shuffle, but I see a Duress, and I think I want this Duress. So I grab the Duress, and here I'll have to use the Lotus Petal to Flusterstorm, but I give them the opportunity to walk into my Flusterstorm, which they don't do, so they're not a complete idiot. But it also means because they didn't do that, now that Brainstorm is playback was getting a little ahead of me. But because they didn't walk into my Flusterstorm there, it gave me the opportunity to not have to crack the Lotus Petal for Fluster. I decided that I really desperately needed a fetch land, and I was willing to gamble on that Brainstorm hitting a fetch land there, because the worst case scenario was that I still have Lotus Petal up to Fluster off of. But I hit a fetch land, which is good. And I also found a Limb Duel's Fault, which is really good. So it's getting to the point where I'm probably going to be able to set up a kill in a turn or 2. But now they show and tell, and I decide to Fluster that, which is the only... I say I decide, I'm forced to. There's no other move there. And now I'm in an interesting spot. I have a couple options on when I can use this Limb Duel's Vault. I could use it in my upkeep, find a discard spell, and then just kind of try and go off next turn. If I could find discard spell Lion's Eye Diamond, I could Thoughtseize them this turn and then kill them next turn. Or I could not cast the Limdual's Vault and do that on their end step. Um, Thinking on it now, I think maybe going Limdual's Vaulting and trying to find like Thoughtseize Lion's Eye Diamond is the best course of action. But that's not what I ended up doing. The fact that they're tapped out and I like more or less know the contents of their hand, or I know some of the contents of their hand. I know they have a Grizzlebrand. So like if they have Force and a blue card, I would be in an awkward spot. But anyway, what I end up deciding to do is brainstorm here. And I hit pretty good. I hit Darkrit in the Frenzy. And so now I can cast the Frenzy, and I have Limdual's Vault on top of my deck to just go for the win this turn. So it's arguable whether I should have played this way or if I should have just tried to find a discard spell with the Limdual's Vault. But at any rate, I play the Frenzy, I cast the Vault, and I know there's Doomsday in my first 5, and I happen to find a Lion's Eye Diamond in my 5, so that's just a kill. So the fact that the Frenzy resolves makes me pretty confident that they don't have anything, so I just jam here, and they scoop to me putting Doomsday on the stack. So yeah, some interesting decision points, and kind of a neat trick where Show and Telling and the Frenzy won me a game. All in all, an interesting match and a difficult matchup, in my opinion. It's probably arguably close to 50%, maybe like 45 to 50% matchup. But it's very, very easy to screw up, and I think there are a couple places in these 3 games where I may have screwed up. And definitely feel free to comment if you think I should have played differently at any point. And then I'll tell you you're wrong. Got him. Thanks for watching.